Today on page 40 in your notes, we're going to be looking at the power rule. And throughout this lesson, I'll be showing you some rules that I believe are on your formula page, and they'll make a lot more sense once we work through the examples. Please remember to pause the video so that you can copy down the information. So the derivative of a constant is 0. So if f of x equals 5, then f prime of x equals 0. And if it's 0, then that is a horizontal line. The power rule. The power rule is a shortcut to finding derivatives. And here we have the power rule listed below. So if I give you a function like x to the n, and we take the derivative of it, d over dx of f of x, you're going to bring that n to the front and then subtract 1 from the exponent. And the examples that we're about to go through, it explains it a lot more clearly because you'll actually see it with equations or expressions. So the exponent comes to the front and you minus 1 from the exponent. Here we have example 1. F of x equals x cubed. In order to take the derivative, the exponent 3 comes to the front and we minus 1 from the exponent. So my final answer is 3x squared. Constant multiple rule. So this is if we have a coefficient in front already of the expression. So it's c times g of x, and g of x is a certain function, and c is the constant in front. So here we have to take the derivative. We have an exponent, -3. That -3 moves to the front and gets multiplied by the constant in front, and I subtract 1 from the exponent. -5 times -3 is positive 15, and when I subtract 1 from the exponent, I get x to the -4. Now if I want to make the exponent positive, only the x to the 4, -4, goes into the denominator and becomes positive. So my final answer is 15 over x to the 4th. In this expression, I have 3x to the -1. So I don't leave the variable x in the denominator. If I move it to the numerator, it becomes 3x to the -1. Now I need to take the derivative on this. So the -1 will get multiplied by the 3, and I subtract 1 from the exponent. So why don't you try it to see what you get? Hopefully you got the same answer I did. So 3 times -1 is the coefficient of -3, x to the -2. And only x to the -2 moves to the denominator. Final answer, -3 over x squared. Here we have a function equals 5. And 5 is a constant. And from the very first note, I said that the derivative of any constant equals 0. That's right, because the exponent on the x is 0. So when that 0 gets multiplied by 5, 5 times 0 is 0. So the derivative of any constant, any number, is 0. Taking the derivative of negative 3x to the power of 1. My answer is negative 3. When you have an equation of 4 square root x, change the square root x to x to the 1/2. Now that I have y equals 4x to the 1/2, I can go ahead and take the derivative of this expression. The 1/2 will get multiplied by 4, and I subtract 1 from the exponent. So I do have to work with fractions here. You can either pause the video now and try it on your own, or continue to watch the solution. Four times 1/2, x to the 1/2 minus 1. I solve that. 4 divided by 2 equals 2. 1/2 minus 2 over 2 equals negative 1/2. And the x to the negative 1/2 moves to the denominator. And you can continue to simplify it using radicals. Two-thirds x to the negative 3. I do the power rule. 2/3 times negative 3. Subtract 1 from my exponent. So by using the power rule and my math skills, my final answer will become negative 2x to the negative 4, and I can bring x to the negative 4 into the denominator. Example 3 says find the equation of the tangent line to the curve at y equals x to the 4th at the point 3, 81. So in order to find the tangent line, I need to take the derivative, because by finding the derivative, this gives me the slope, and then I can use my equation form of y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So first thing I need to do is take the derivative of x to the 4th, and that becomes 4x cubed. Plug in x equals 3, because at that point, that's where the tangent line is. So by taking the derivative is the slope equation. Plug in 3 for x, and my slope is 108, because remember that by taking the derivative, that's the slope of the equation. Now that I have my slope, I can plug in my information into y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Simplify your information and get it into standard form where it equals 0 and your x term is positive. So it ends up equaling 108x minus y minus 243.